Welcome to Visual Literacy, a series of YouTube videos based on the Visual Literacy Workbook for Graphic Design and Fine Art students by David Moyer and Brian Flynn, published by Oxford University Press. Chapter 6, Balance. Balance, as defined by Webster's Dictionary, is stability produced by even distribution of weight on either side of a vertical axis. This is true for the distribution of visual weight within the picture plane of a visual image, though visual weight refers to a design element's degree of visual attractiveness or contrast with its surroundings. Elements of higher contrast have more visual weight. Visual balance is assessed by dividing the picture plane into two equal parts, vertically and horizontally. Horizontal balance is assessed by constructing a vertical axis in the center of the picture plane, dividing it into two equal parts. A balanced image possesses an equivalence of visual attractiveness in the design elements on either side of the vertical axis. An image cannot achieve unity of its parts if it is unbalanced. Visual balance is categorized as symmetry, near symmetry, and asymmetry. Symmetry means the same. In symmetrical balance, design elements are mirrored in each of their placement on either side of the axis of symmetry. Symmetrical balance is also known as formal balance, as the arrangement lends unity and stability to design. Near symmetrical balance, almost the same, is a variant of symmetrical balance, defined by a similar distribution of visual weight on either side of the vertical axis of symmetry. The proximity of elements or groups of design elements on either side of the vertical axis of symmetry is the determining factor in determining near symmetrical balance. Asymmetry means not the same, but not out of balance. Asymmetrical balance is achieved by elements on each side of the visual axis of symmetry that are equivalent in their visual attractiveness, but not their form or visual mass. A pound of feathers equals a pound of lead neatly encapsulates the concept of asymmetrical balance. Vertical balance is a comparison of visual attractiveness of the design elements in the top and bottom halves of the picture plane. The representational and non-representational images, the viewer's expectation of the distribution of visual weight is tempered by gravity. If the weight of the visual elements are counter to the viewer's conditioned expectations, then visual tension is created. Birth, a photographic collage by Keith Vanderlyn, is an example of symmetrical balance. A formal arrangement of design elements on either side of the vertical axis of symmetry mirror one another in their placement in the picture plane, imbuing the highly organic, natural forms with an ordered regularity. The mirrored halves of the picture plane implies an intentionality to design in nature. The newborn baby, highlighting our participation in the natural order. The vaulted treetops lead the viewer's gaze skyward, giving it an anatomical quality. Giuseppe Rupolo's still life with fruit and nuts is an example of near symmetrical balance. The objects in the still life are different in kind, but alike in their color, value, shape, and visual mass. Their placement in the right and left sides of the picture plane are similar in their proximity to the visual axis of symmetry. They are equiposed to one another. The still life objects, though alike in form, are imbued with allegorical significance by their differences. The grapes and apples on the right side of the composition are fresh and living, while the nuts, fruit, and cured meats on the left side of the composition have been removed from life through a drying or embalming process. Life to the right, death to the left. Though the nuts on the left, as they are seeds, represent new life not yet realized. Gilbert Stuart enlivens his portrait of Joseph de Jourdanes y Nebot, through the use of asymmetrical balance in the composition of the painting. Portrait painting may tend in some instances to be overly formal, as the dignity of the sitter can eclipse visual interest. In Stewart's picture, Haldenius is seated to the right of the vertical axis of symmetry, making direct eye contact with the viewer, adding visual weight to the seated figure positioned in a shallow space. Haldenius' hand rests on a bright white handkerchief atop a dark-valued tablecloth to the left of the vertical axis of symmetry, along with his knee and lower leg, both of which front a deep open space. The larger visual mass of the figure, positioned in the right half of the picture plane, is balanced by a much smaller visual mass of highly contrasting value, shape, and opening deep space. The seated figure in the shallow space in the right portion of the composition represents a pound of feathers. The brightly lighted hand and handkerchief, a pound of lead, reinforced by the visual draw of deep space. The inequality of visual mass, but equality of visual weight in the portrait's left and right sides adds an enlivening visual tension to the image. Please join us as we continue to explore visual form and content in upcoming videos.